So first up, for what I've chosen to call the Splashy Fen Chronicles, is the amazing Jamie-Lee Sexton. And what an absolutely amazing and powerful human being she is. I'm so glad that I got to interview her. Not only is she an award-nominated songwriter, she's an amazing musician, a singer with a soulful voice that's just got so much depth and character. She's an absolutely incredible energy on stage. And she is also an incredible businesswoman. She runs her own record label as well as being part of Women in Music. And I really am just so glad that I get to share a bit more about who she is and about her story and her background with you guys here today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Splashy Fen. So this has been a fantastic festival, but we're kicking it off with some amazing, amazing performers. And I'm really fortunate to be interviewing Jamie-Lee Sexton. Hey, Jamie, how are you doing?
I'm very well, and you?
I'm fantastic. Do you prefer Jamie or Jamie-Lee? Does it matter?
It does. I like Jamie-Lee because it's double barrel and it's not a second name. So yeah,
nice.
Jamie-Lee's grand.
Fantastic. I'm here with Jamie-Lee. And the reason I chose to interview you, of all the women at this festival that I could have chosen to interview, I chose you because I really felt when listening to your music that you had like depth. Not even, I mean, vocally you've got amazing depth. It was beautiful to actually listen to your vocal range. But it was also, I felt like lyrically and like as a songwriter, you also had some depth to you.
Thank you. That's a really big compliment. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
So recently you've released a single which is a cover of a track.
Yes.
And it's, I mean, your vocals are fantastic for it. Like, probably couldn't have had better vocals for that song. It's so on point.
Thank you.
How are you feeling about it?
So that song actually, one of the reasons why I chose it is for the vocal quality and the vocal essence of the song. For me, doing a cover was never ever really something that I would have looked at because I am a songwriter. But this song specifically, I loved the storyline around the song. I mean, everybody loved the 90s version, but I wanted to do something different. I wanted to put my spin on it. I wanted to give it a South African stamp, and also, you know, to reach audiences that were part of that era and a new era of today.
Absolutely.
So, and I mean, vocally, you know, when I listened to it, I approached my team and I said, guys, listen, I have an idea. And as an artist, you know, there's always a bit of silence in the room. They're like, are we listening? And I was like, cool, this is what I want to do. And I really think it will suit my voice.
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
Thank you.
I'm obviously familiar with the original, which was done by Anything But the Girl.
Yes, Everything But the Girl,
released in 1994.
Yes, that's right.
So it's a song I've kind of grown up hearing.
Yes.
You know, and your vocals were really so on point for that song. So
thank you.
To choose a cover, it was a good one to choose.
Thank you
and
very much.
I hear you, because I mean, I'm also a songwriter and very firm about original music and songwriting.
Yes.
And so it's not often that I feel like a cover is necessarily a great option.
Yes, of course, because it can go either way.
Totally. But I really feel like you nailed it.
Thank you.
I just wanted to get that out there. But
awesome, thank you.
Tell me more about what you like to write about. What about your songs? Are there any favorites? Are there any that you really feel are like uniquely you? I mean, obviously everything you write is you, but I know some songs feel to me when I'm writing to be more true to my like soul, and some of them I'm writing to try something out or you know, explore a new genre a little bit. But
for sure,
what do you feel really speaks about Jamie-Lee? What?
So I started writing poetry when I was 9. I had an amazing English teacher, and he saw that I had a bit of a shine to the English language, and he started introducing me to certain books and certain poetry. So I started writing when I was 9, and then I started putting music to it. And what I found, the 10-year-old me, and even today, it's very, very similar, because I need to write about my own life experience. It's the only thing that I know how to do. And I think that my stories, and I've been so lucky and so fortunate that my stories are universal enough that it has touched people in a certain way.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like one of my favorite things as an artist is receiving DMs, you know, from people all around the world saying, you know, this song made me feel a type of way, or that song had an influence on me. So those kinds of songs, I think it's my duty to write as an artist and to use my voice in the best way that I can. But I think that my EP, Medicine Woman, came from a really, really spiritual place for me, and it came from a very spiritual experience. And when I was writing Medicine Woman, I was actually coming out of a hiatus, and I had, I would say like writer's block, but like maybe not. I was just living. Do you know what I mean? Because we have to live in order to write.
Those experiences are important.
Exactly.
Right?
But I think that EP, for me, if I had to think of myself, that's very much me and what I was going through at the time. And my recent songs, I mean, like as of late, one of my favorites is Lock It Down. I love the beats. I love the story behind it. And yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Medicine Woman, because that's actually where I went. When I was listening through all of your stuff, I was like, that really grabbed me. Okay. There was something about that EP that I felt was like really authentic. And that made me feel like this is someone I want to talk to.
Amazing.
So that speaks a lot, definitely from your soul, as you were saying. Like,
yes,
definitely speaks from your soul. And it's something that as an audience member or as someone listening to your music, you can feel it in that EP.
Amazing.
So
thank you.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm also glad you mentioned 10-year-old you, because I so often find, because for me it was a similar thing, that when I was 10, I had a very clearly defined idea of what I wanted to be, who I wanted to be, and I had no idea how to get there. Yes. The journey between 10 and now, where I am and who I am now, seemed so far apart and so uncertain. Like I just didn't know where to put my feet or how to get there.
Yes.
And I can remember that frustration, that feeling of like, I so want to be the somebody that I know I can be. Yes. But how? Did you experience that at any point in your journey, between the kid that knew she wanted to make music and poetry and put those things together, to the adult that sits here next to me today performing at Splashy Fen?
I think that, same as you, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew exactly what I wanted to say. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I knew that the journey was going to be a very important one. Like now when I look back, and if I look back at the things that I was writing about as a 10-year-old, I'll actually tell you a funny story about that. One of the poems that I wrote, my English teacher secretly handed it into a competition, and I didn't know.
Okay.
And he came to me and he said, listen, I've entered you into this competition and you've been published.
Amazing.
2 of your poems have been published. So I was like, like 10. I brought it home and I'm like, hey, mom, dad, this has been published. And they read it and they didn't believe me.
Wow.
They didn't believe me. And I was like, that's weird, like for one, I know it's me, like,
and why would you make up that story,
Exactly. But then I think what happened is that I was writing from my soul and my subconscious at a very early age, that it didn't seem fitting for a 10-year-old to be writing like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't have frustration, but I had frustration in fighting my age.
Right.
But then I grew into it, and then it started to make a lot more sense. So with the frustration, yes, I was dealing with that because it felt like I was an adult in a 10-year-old's body.
Yeah. Especially one with so much direction.
Yes.
I used to find the same sort of thing where, because I knew what I wanted out of life and I was focused on getting it, a lot of people found that challenging, didn't know how to take that, and were often quite like intimidated by it and almost put off.
100%. Because if a girl knows what she wants at 10, to other people it might seem cheeky, whatever it is, but it's nonsense. It's just that young girls need to have a platform. If they know what they want, that's a great thing, and we should actually raise more girls like that.
Absolutely. And if you find girls like that, create platforms for them.
Yes, I agree.
So important.
Yeah.
And such an amazing thing that I feel is missing, actually, especially from the arts and music kind of scene.
Yes.
Here in this country.
Yes, 100%. For me, I am a huge advocate of women in music. I belong to Women in Music. And I'm actually very impressed and happy with Splashy Fen. Not only myself, but there are a lot more women on all lineups across Splashy. So I'm very, very happy about that, and I hope that this starts to breed a culture of having more women on lineups.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we realize how male-dominated the music industry is.
Absolutely.
You know, women have often been pushed into doing backing vocals, you know, or you're like the dancing girl on stage who's
Or
just
the
singing
opener.
a pretty harmony, or you're
the
the
opener.
opener.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're just not given that slot
Yes.
that you actually deserve. You're a powerhouse. You should be there, right?
100%. I agree with you.
I've felt that along the way, so I can totally relate.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And funnily enough, mentioning women in music, I actually first heard about you through the nominations for the Basadi Women in Music Award.
Okay, cool.
And that's where your name first came up. And I was like, she's different. And that drew me in already from back then.
Cool. Thank you.
And you were nominated for loads of awards, actually.
Yes. So Basadi in Music is a wonderful, wonderful concept. The owner and the creator, her name is Flonnie, and she started, and it's grown into something amazing just for women across the board in South Africa. And for me, a very, very special award that I was nominated for was the Samro Songwriter Award. And that for me is really, really special because vocals for me and songwriting obviously mesh, but being recognized as a songwriter in an award sense is very, very important and really, really special. So Basadi in Music in general and that whole journey was amazing. Really cool.
That's an incredible thing. And I think that for myself as a songwriter, I run songwriters workshops and I advocate for for people having the courage to create original music.
Yes.
And I think that's hugely, especially in South Africa and KZN, something that has to be nurtured. I think it's something we're losing to cover bands. And a good cover is great. I said, you doing Missing, and
Absolutely,
it's an amazing, perfectly chosen rendition that you do of that song. Your vocals are great,
but it's very carefully thought out.
And I think that we now almost have a culture of covers in this country, and I don't know if this is a global issue or if it's one that seems to be more prevalent here. But I really feel like more people, but also definitely more women, need to be telling their stories.
And also I feel that you mentioned stories. I think that South African stories from the female perspective is very important. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
I think that looking at life through a female eye, I think is what's missing. Look, it's not that I don't appreciate all kinds of art, but I think that, if women are taken more seriously, then they will take themselves more seriously.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree. And I think there definitely needs to be more recognition of the stories and the role that those stories play in our cultural development.
Yeah.
I look at cultures across the world. It is the mothers that raise children that pass down stories so often.
Yep.
And that's how we've grown as a society and as a culture from, centuries ago in cave paintings through to modern day humans as we are today. It's a lot of it has been the stories we've passed down and the art we make and the music we create. And that's why it is so important for us to be doing these jobs.
I agree. And I think, that's why things like Basadi in Music, Women in Music, those types of things are amazing and more women should be a part of it. And also, a woman having confidence is also something that we need. Because oftentimes when a woman has confidence, she is a bitch, or she's something. And that's a really old story, and we don't have to get into it again.
Yeah.
But just leave those titles behind and just be. You don't have to label anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just be who you are.
Yeah.
You don't have to go back to those, we're not in 1992. So,
Thank goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
We've come far since then. So this is your first Splashy Fen?
No, it's actually my third.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've played 2 before, but it was quite a while back, and I'm really excited to be back with my full band. We've got a great set planned. Main stage is beautiful. I just went to go and have a look at it. It's incredible. And I'm just really excited to, for people to hear the music live. Because, a lot of time you hear it on radio, but it's not the same live.
Totally different experience.
Very different experience.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing is live.
Yeah,
I love performing. I love connecting. I love I love that energy, and I love that exchange of energy.
And do you feel like a song grows through that? Like, I know for me, songs kind of go through stages where at first you write it, it's brand new, you love it, you're playing it just for yourself, it's really something special. And then you kind of go out into the world and you perform it a little bit. And you're like,
yes,
I'm putting this thing out there, I don't know if it's going to fly. And it kind of develops some body there, you know, and it gains a backbone and some strength.
Yeah, definitely. I think that songs are like children. They're born, they grow, they evolve, they develop their own personalities, they get their own fingerprint. And I think that live, when you perform songs live often enough, they become more part of you, and then the audiences can connect more and more with the music and with you.
Yeah. And I think it's an essential thing. I often find like songs that I have kind of written with a certain meaning or intention in mind, I get up and perform it, and it almost like shifts its meaning based on what's kind of coming back at me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, and I wish audiences actually knew how important they were. You know, not just to fill seats. Like, it's obviously need people to show up for shows.
Of course,
but aside from that they actually give something back, and they help develop the songs by being present and by interacting with them and really connecting.
It's an exchange of energy. And it's also, you know, you are... I had an acting teacher, her name is Judy Page, and she said to me very early on that when you decide to get onto the stage, you have to realize that you are giving a part of yourself to them every single time. If you're not willing to do that, don't get on the stage. So,
great advice.
Yeah, and I've always felt that, and I always leave something on the stage for them, and I walk away not missing something, but actually feeling more fulfilled.
It's an incredible feeling, to feel really like uplifted by the experience, and you've actually given so much of yourself in that. Like giving a gift is better than receiving one in that sense.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
It's going to be a really fantastic set, I'm sure.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah, and have you chosen anything in specific that you really like? I know for me, the set I just played, my last song, I was like saving it. You know, it was like this brand new, beautiful thing that I was just so excited to share with everyone. Is there any one song in particular that you're like itching to get up there and sing?
I think you see, I look at it as like an act. So beginning, a middle, and an end. That's how I formulate my shows. And I think that there's like moments that I'm waiting for as a performer, but as a whole, I'm so excited to just get on stage, you know, with my band and have that energy. And I'm performing the new song, which is also pretty cool. I'm really excited about that. But I mean, like Medicine Woman, We Need to Talk, I absolutely love. I'm excited for all of it, honestly.
That is very, very cool to hear. I think, you know, do you normally perform with a whole band? Is that a regular feature for you? Obviously now you're quite a big act. You've grown into quite a name for yourself. So I assume at this point you usually perform with the whole band.
So it depends. For festivals, yes. But I mean, I have a few different outfits. Right. So if I'm in Cape Town, I have a full band in Cape Town for those festivals and stuff. But I also really love going back to my roots and finding smaller gigs that it's just me and the guitar, because that's how I started. Nice. So I will never throw those away, because I love coming back down and going, it's just like a reminder for me on how that felt.
Yeah.
So I play solo shows as often as I can. I've got a 3-piece, 4-piece, so yeah, it differs. It just depends on the audience and how big the audience is, and what kind of sound we want to carry through.
Absolutely, and what sound is required, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something really powerful and beautiful about a woman just going back to kind of the core, you and the guitar. It's a really special thing, and I also feel like that's very important, you know, for the authentic you that started, for people to still be able to reach that.
Yes,
you know?
yeah,
not to have grown so big that it's down there.
Yeah, and I'll never stop doing that. I'll never ever stop doing that, because I love it. It's a very important reminder for me all the time.
And what is your favorite part of what you do? Is it the songwriting, the performing, the vocals, or is it just a little bit of everything?
I would say the performing. The performing for me, because it's like the most it's everything that's culminated into that moment that's given me the ability to be there, and it's given me the gift of being there, because it started as a spark at 2:00 in the morning.
Artist hours. I love
Absolutely.
artist hours. That's where I live.
The witchy hours.
Totally.
So performing for me and being on stage is where my soul lies.
That is incredible. That is incredible. I really think that, especially as a woman in music, but in the world in general, I feel like you are holding a very powerful role. So if there were a message or a bit of guidance you'd like to offer women who are coming up in the music industry in this country, what would be your bit of gold that you're giving them?
I would say to always be authentic, because authenticity you can't buy, you can't be taught, and everybody has the ability to. We are our authentic selves with ourselves, but not to ever let go of that part of you, because you are unique either way. Don't try and be somebody else. You already are unique. Always stick to your guns, and don't be afraid of saying no.
Thank you. That is something I love to hear, because saying no was something I was met with a lot of challenges when I started as a musician. I said no to certain things, and it was instantly like, okay, we just won't book you then. And I was like, okay, well, that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
I can go with that. That's fine.
It's okay.
And I think it is hard to remain your authentic self when you're getting on stage, you're developing a stage persona and a presence.
Yes.
And yet somehow still to hold on to you and have that still come through.
Yeah, you have to really stick to your guns. You just need to hold on tight, because naturally people want to mold you into something that they think will work. But if you stick to your guns, you will work every time. It will work every single time, because there's no one else like you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
And I think it's an amazing thing. I know we were chatting before this interview, and you and Shiran, you've got an amazing in-house system going.
Yes.
The marketing, the managing, the music, the production.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So we started our company. It's called Stellar June. We started Stellar June about 10 years ago, and we are a record label. We're a publishing house, a media house, and we have our team that, you see, when you're independent, there's a lot of advantages, but there's also a lot of work behind it.
Huge amounts.
And we decided early on that we want to remain independent, and I've got nothing against labels. I think labels are amazing if they work with you.
If there's a genuine intent.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not looking for 360s or anything like that.
Yeah.
If a label had to approach me with, and I have been approached by many, offering certain deals, but I wasn't happy with the deal because it wasn't to my advantage. And that's also another thing with upcoming artists. A record deal does not necessarily mean success.
No, totally.
It doesn't
Very
mean
important
success.
to know that.
No.
So important.
Because you need to read the fine print, you need to educate yourself, you need to read up. Artists being schneid and not knowing what's happening in the industry is a thing that has to be left in the past, because we have everything at our disposal.
Absolutely.
And you can't just be a singer today. You have to understand what the business side of it is.
Yeah, totally.
And our company, and Shiran is my manager, and she's my wife. So it's so wonderful and it's so lovely to be able to have that. But we have a very, very certain goal. And we stand very strong in what we represent and what we do in our business. But the business side of it for me is as important as what you see on stage.
And I'm really glad you mentioned that, because I have gone through the last sort of couple of years finding my feet in the business side of music, having created music my whole life and written, and then recording this stuff and thinking, this is wonderful, I have all this beautifully recorded stuff.
Yeah.
And the first album, I just kind of threw it into the world. I was almost like, it'll go and do its thing. That's not how it works.
Yeah. It's a business.
And it's only after you've been at it for a good many years that you really know, it's a lot more than just throwing out a good song.
Yes.
A good song is wonderful. Yes, you need a good product to begin with. But if you don't know how to market that product, how to present that product, it's never going to find
its feet.
100%.
I agree. I think that what people mistake music as, it's art 100%. We hold on to that. I would never do it if I didn't believe in art and if I wasn't an artist, and I consider myself that. But if you do not understand and recognize the business side of it, it will fall flat.
Yeah.
Because even like, big artists, wherever they started from, they are a product that someone has sold. And there's nothing wrong with that, because the artists that you love, I mean, for instance, a random Joni Mitchell, right?
Yeah.
Very folky, Woodstock artist. But she had managers and marketing and money behind her.
Yeah.
It didn't take away from her core, because she was very steadfast in it. But there's a business behind Joni Mitchell.
100%, yes.
That's what people mustn't confuse.
Yeah.
So staying true to art and having a business, they can coexist.
Absolutely, especially in this day and age.
Yes.
I think in the past we've kind of had a situation where radio stations and playlists and things, there was a very defined channel that they liked information to travel down. Come from this marketer and you'll get in here because we know the guy who knows a guy.
Yes.
Nowadays I think as independent artists we definitely have a much more broad kind of space to play in as marketers.
Definitely.
Social media is actually fantastic.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Because it allows us access to a huge audience.
Yeah, it's an amazing tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that, to promote yourself as an independent artist, if you can figure it out and be proactive about it, you will be successful.
Yes.
As long as you don't quit. Like if you quit, that's when you fail, right? But if you just keep at it, and keep pursuing that goal and keep creating a good product, how can you possibly fail?
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm very impressed that you've done that.
Awesome.
And you guys are an amazing team.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Would you ever be interested in creating a platform for up-and-coming young women artists in this industry?
Yes, definitely. I think that for me, one of my dreams is to create a festival.
Okay.
Not necessarily an all-female lineup, because I don't want to ever exclude anybody, but I want it to be female-focused. I want it to be female-focused, and I want up-and-coming females to be featured and to have talks. So almost like a week of music and having workshops and stuff, and then at the end of the weekend have this festival.
Amazing.
So in my life, I definitely want to do that, and please God, I hope that I will.
Hey, if you ever need people who are working towards the same goal, you're in good company.
Amazing.
And funnily enough, Loud Woman, one of the publications that I write for, do a similar thing. Not quite as extensive. I love the idea of workshops and things like that. They don't really have that as part of what they do, but they run a Loud Woman Festival in London, and they run one in New York that they've just started, and they've done one in Australia as well.
Oh, nice.
With a very similar ethos, where women are at the forefront of that festival.
Yes, the focus.
Yes,
it's
not all entirely women, but it's definitely more driven to women being the focus of it.
Love that.
So I think you're on the right track, and you definitely have backup.
Thank you.
If ever you need.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this interview with me.
It's been amazing. It's been so cool. Thank you for having me.
It is such a pleasure.
And, just to chat openly and be comfortable, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. These are the conversations I like to have.
Awesome.
So my podcast on YouTube is called The Diverse Creative. Because as a creative, I'm an artist, I do decor, I'm a musician, I'm a marketer. And that's actually also a very creative pursuit.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah. And I find that clever marketing is super valuable. A quirky idea goes far.
I agree.
Especially in this industry.
Yes.
It catches attention.
Yeah.
So, of all the ways you have chosen to market Jamie-Lee Sexton, what's your favorite?
I think I really liked my last single that I did at the end of last year. It's a song that I did called Goodbye and Good Luck. And the marketing idea behind it was to look at different instances in your life where you have used the words goodbye and good luck, not only in a romantic way, but I mean like for a job, for, I don't know, you quit smoking, so we approached it as a one-liner, but for many, many different scenarios in life.
Amazing.
And it worked really, really well. You know, a lot of people responded to it. Some people left their job and then played that song to their boss.
Oh, I love that.
So I love that. Yeah, and I mean, it was definitely written for people specifically in my life, but people took it on and like just made it their own, which is the purpose.
Absolutely.
That is
I think
the
that's how
purpose.
music really gets into somebody's
Correct.
soul.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
they got to take a piece of it for themselves.
It's theirs now, and I love the way that it was received.
That's such a wonderful way to market it. I love that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Well, I'm really looking forward to your set tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
And thank you again for joining me here.
Awesome. Thank you.
I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
With her, and I feel like for all female performers, she's definitely one to look up for. Again, she is also a business owner, runs her own recording company, her own production company, her own record label. No, not true, Dawn. Scrap. You delete that, please. That's like outtakes. It's gonna be an outtake. Okay. Amazing businesswoman, and no, I just don't. And she is an absolute powerhouse woman. She is